Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. My sheep know my voice. They come when I call, they follow me. My sheep know my voice. They come when I call. Sheep come when Jesus calls. I have this image, like if Jesus were in the room right this second and he was standing by that baptismal font and we're all his sheep. And he calls us. And when he calls, we each hear him calling our own individual names. And it just, it strikes each one of us. And we come to right here. We're all gathered round. And the rest of our lives, from that moment forward, is lived from that starting place. Does that make sense? When Jesus calls, the Good Shepherd calls, we hear and we come. He's giving us a starting place, if we'll take it. That's a trick, Bob. We don't have to. Sometimes I don't come. No, what's your usual starting place? What's your usual starting place? Like when you wake up in the morning, like first thing, where's your head? You know, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I am immediately balancing my checkbook. What is wrong with me? Or I'm immediately like off to the races in my to-do list for the day. I'm immediately thinking about all the weeds and clover that are growing in that little patch of grass in front of my, like, what's your usual starting place? Or maybe when you walk into a room, you know? Like what if you weren't in here right now and you walked in that door and you stood right there and you looked out on all 200 whatever it is of us? Like what's your starting place? Do you see what's wrong? Do you see what you like and what you don't like? Like when you crack open the bulletin, do you immediately see the typo that I missed even though I proofread the thing 14 times this week? What's your usual starting place? And how's that working out for you? My usual starting place is the frenetic pace of my overbusy life, which is crowded with people and noise and long lists of things to do. And Jesus is trying, bless his heart, Jesus is trying to give us a new home base, a quiet place in the ground of our own being where we are one with God. And I know that may sound poetic and a little theological, but I actually don't mean it poetically, I mean it literally. Jesus is trying to give us a new starting place, a home base, a quiet place inside our very bodies, the ground of your being where you and God are one. So how would you like this? Maybe some of y'all are already there, I'm not. How would you like this? You walk into a room, like you come in that door right there, and you see everybody and everything as marvelous manifestations of the divine, all shining like the sun. You don't see what's wrong, what's right, what you like, what you don't like. You see God pouring out of everybody and everything. How's that for a starting place? A place from which to proceed into the ordinary workaday of your own life. The Good Shepherd is trying to give us that starting place. How would the world change if that was our home base? I don't know if this will put it on the street for you or not, but I can't get loose of this story that I remembered from years ago. We'll see if you think this is a story about a starting place. Years ago, I knew a man who could whistle so loud you could hear him in the next county when he let loose with his whistle. He had a 4-year-old daughter. Her name was Maddie, true story. Maddie, 4 years old, little bitty thing, loved to play outside in the woods around their house with her neighborhood friends. And from a real young age, like when she was little bitty, my friend, her father, taught Maddie how they could stay connected. The two of them, father, daughter, parent, and child, through thick and thin. One day he said to her, "Hey, Maddie, come here. Come here, baby." "Yes, Daddy." He said, "Maddie, you've heard me whistle, haven't you?" She smiled real big and she said, "Daddy, of course I've heard you whistle. You can whistle really loud." She said, "Daddy, all the dogs stop and look around whenever you whistle. I even saw the neighbor's dog stop and look around the other day, Daddy, when you whistled. Yeah, I know your whistle." He smiled at her and he said, "Well, I want to tell you why God made it so I could whistle so good." She leaned in, little bitty thing. He said, "I can whistle like that for you. God gave me that whistle so that you can hear me, so that wherever you are, I can find you and you can find me. So Maddie," he said, "this is what I want you to do. Anytime you hear me whistle, it means one thing. It means I'm looking for you. And when you hear me whistle, I want you to stop what you're doing, no matter what it is, and you come looking for me. Maddie," and this is important, "you can be sure that I'm looking for you too. Every time you hear me whistle, you run to me, darling. Run to me as fast as you can." "Do you understand?" he said to her. "Yes, Daddy, yes." He said, "Good, repeat it back to me. What do you do when you hear me whistle?" She said, "I run to you. I stop what I'm doing, no matter what it is, and I run and I find you." He said, "Good, and what am I going to be doing?" She looked up at him, and she said, "You're going to be looking for me too, Daddy. You'll be looking for me." He said, "That's right. That's right. That's my girl. That's right." And I knew that was their system. We were good friends. He told me about it. But I'd never seen it happen. And to be honest with you, I mean, I got little kids. I had my doubts that that was really a system that would work. But then one evening in early summer, I was with my friend and his family at an outdoor music festival in the center of the little town where we lived. It was a big festival, so there was a thick crowd. People from all over had gathered downtown for food and a live music concert. And when they got there, Maddie quickly fell in with all the other little kids and disappeared to play. And after a while, my friend and I were just standing there in the midst of that enormous crowd. After a while, I could see my friend looking around. It was slow at first, kind of just looking like this, and then it kind of picked up pace. His head turned this way and that way, scanning the crowd. At a certain point, he stepped back and he stepped up onto this little rock wall that was behind us. So he was about 18, 24 inches higher than everybody else, and he's looking all over the crowd just like this. Then he said down to me, he said, "Hey, Hendree, you see Maddie?" And I said, "I don't." And as soon as I said that, "I don't see her," he let loose with that whistle, that long, loud, shrill whistle. And his head kept turning from side to side as he continued to scan the crowd. There were a ton of people out there that night. Music was playing, folks are carrying on and talking. And I thought to myself, I didn't say it out loud. I thought to myself, there's no way. We're going to have to go look for this little girl. There's absolutely no way she's going to hear that whistle and come running here. I was wrong. I was wrong. You ever been wrong about something? I was wrong. Sure enough, after just a few moments, there she was like lightning or some kind of magic trick. She was just there, standing right in front of her dad, looking up at him. He was tall, well over 6 feet tall, and she was a little bitty thing. Her face glistened with sweat. She'd been playing and running around. She tucked her long hair behind her little ears. "Here I am, Daddy. I heard you whistle." I heard the whistle. My friend stepped down from that perch on the rock wall where he was standing so he could see better. Then he crouched down to her level. She was a little bitty thing. And I couldn't hear what he said to her. It was a quiet little bubble of a private moment in the midst of all that cacophony of concert noise. Wasn't mine to hear, but I could tell You ever look at something and you can just tell what it is? I could tell that it was a tender moment. He whispered into her ear. Then I watched as she wrapped her little bitty arms around his neck. They hugged, and then she was off like a shot. I mean, like lightning passing right through that place, back to play with her friends. And my friend stood up. And I said to him, I said, my God, that was amazing. He said, I want to be honest with you. I didn't believe you when you told me about y'all finding each other when you whistle. And when you did whistle in this big crowd, I didn't think, no. Then this is what he said. This is what he said to me. He said, Hendree, she always has a place to start from and come back to. I'm her home base, he said, and she's mine. I'm her home base, and she's my home base. A place to start from. Somebody said, what does love look like? Like in concrete terms, like put some flesh on it. What does love look like? Maybe that's what love looks like. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. My sheep hear my voice. They come, they follow me. So the voice of Jesus is calling out to us. Can you hear the whistle in the air? We come, we follow him through the crowds, the noise, the busyness of our workaday lives. And we're following him to our starting place. I want you to take this very literally, what I'm about to say. Our starting place, the ground of your being, the center of yourself, where the flame of your being and the divine flame of God's being burn in silence as one bright light. From this place of union, I hope you believe that exists in your body. From this place of union, we then proceed back into our workaday worlds and live from a new starting place. This is the depth dimension of what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ. The Good Shepherd is our home base, and we are mysteriously his home base too. Oh. So when you hear him call, run. Run to him. And know that he is running to you. And where you meet is your starting place. And you live like you began living. You really live from that quiet place, loving what's right in front of you with God. Can you imagine walking in that door right there? Come on, Charlie, you know this. Walk in that door right there. Look out at all these people, these beautiful people shining like the sun, and love them with God from home base inside your own body. So let me end like this. Check this out. Don't let this hurt you. Don't let this hurt you. We'll end like this. One day, Maddie's daddy will die. Oh, he'll cart off to heaven, and she'll go on without him. But death is a part of life, right? But check this out. I bet when he does die, I bet you she'll still hear his whistle. Do you know what I mean by that? I bet she'll still stop. Every now and then, I bet you she'll still stop what she's doing. And even if faintly, she'll hear that piercing, shrill whistle in the landscape of her distant memory. And when she does, she'll breathe. Long inhale. And she'll sink down into the center of herself, coming to rest in the ground of her being, where she and Jesus and her dad have their starting place. And then she'll look up. Long exhale, big smile. And she'll see everything all around her, all people, all places, all things, shining like the sun. And from there, she'll live. She'll really live her starting place. Amen.